Hi there, world. Welcome to Fractal Radio, the official podcast of the Fractal Journal. I'm Alex Weir. Fractal Journal is a place where you can find me writing about all kinds of stuff, as well as posting webcomics and music, stuff like that. Post fairly regularly now, so if you want a steady stream of varied content, go on and check it out. Yeah, noticed that in the mirror earlier. That's granola in my hair. That's how much of a hippie I am. Today, I'm going to talk about war and the potential for a very dumb war, which, of course, as all good hippies, I'm against Ukraine and Russia. And the title of this Fractal Radio is going to be Crushing the Welsh Rebellion. Now, what the hell, what, you might be thinking, is this madman on about? Well, the United Kingdom contains Wales, Scotland, and Ireland, as well as England. Now, let's say that Wales decides it wants to be its own country. And there's a union in Europe that would like for Wales to be its own independent country, because Wales suddenly happens to be really friendly towards this union, and suddenly they have a very warm and fuzzy feeling towards Germany and Nazis in particular, for some reason. Or at least a portion of the population does. And oddly enough, one of the people that's supporting this strong statehood opposes nationalism in general, making this really, really weird. Yeah. Now, suppose that the world at large equivocates between England's position of saying, we don't like Nazis and you're part of the United Kingdom. Yeah. Gets kind of weird. Now, it's not a perfect analog to the Ukraine-Russia situation, but it's a workable analog. Because Ukraine and Russia are right next to each other. There's a lot of Russians and Russian-speaking people in Ukraine, and a lot of Ukrainians in Russia. If you know the history, Kiev and Rus, etc., right? Really similar people. In fact, probably, arguably, more similar than Englishmen and Welshmen. So to have a war where there's nationalism and this Azov battalion type of stuff going on is really, really bizarre. And it's not just bizarre as an Eastern European, or within the context of Eastern Europe. It's bizarre that the world at large doesn't understand this. And the United States, I remember seeing YouTube, there was some black man holding a flag, I think it was some singer, a Ukrainian flag, supporting nationalism, and yet there's this sentiment that nationalism is uncool and un-PC being pushed at the same time. Of course, unless it's, nationalism, which happens to contain within the kind of nationalism that we're supporting, these groups are fucking Nazis. Like, literal, Nazis. Not like, oh my god, internet, some guy talking about milk and doing the okay side. I'm talking about literal, Nazi sympathizers. It boggles the mind. So, squashing the Welsh rebellion. This is obviously triggered by Russia taking 3 ships from Ukraine. Now, Ukraine is not a mighty military power by any stretch of the imagination, and they are not in NATO. What? And Putin doesn't want to take over Ukraine. Why? He wants to secure the region. That, to me, I can't say his exact motives, but geopolitically, the thing that makes sense is to kind of keep the countries on your border, especially countries that are really closely related to you, not occupied and weirdly friendly in a militaristic way towards people who seem to have an agenda that involves bossing your country around as they're building military bases on your border. So, suppose that the European Union was sending troops and things to Wales and like support and materials and weapons. Yeah. England would be like, please don't do that. That's wrong, and we're going to take action if you do that. We're going to defend this country. And I know that like this is delivered in a really dry way. I'm very, very tired, but I felt it important to talk about this because it's so magnificently stupid. The whole situation and the coverage of it, and the lack of coverage I see about it from places like even alternative media. Okay, sure, there's several people I subscribe to that have already talked about this issue, which is good. But I feel that they are falsely equivocating here, and I don't know why. Like, this is madness. And I'm not saying this just because I'm Russian. Like, originally I come from Russia. I came to the United States when I was 8 years old. I'm American. I'm naturalized. Yeah, I have no Russian family members here. So just my adopted, guardian. And he's not Russian. So, what? To me, the other thing is, like, personally, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I am Russian. I was born in Russia, but my background, my great-grandfather came from Kiev, which is the capital of Ukraine. So I can, in my own blood, I know that you can't feel things in your blood. What I'm saying is, I know that Russian people and Ukrainian people are really closely related because I'm Russian and I have a Ukrainian great-grandparent. I also have a Polish great-grandparent. Do you know why? Because Poland, Russia, and the Ukraine have populations that go back and forth between each other, seeing as they're all Slavic people. Now, Poland is more different from Russia than Ukraine, but, this is just really bizarre. And again, I'm not biased towards Russia in any way. I'm 100%, Constitution, United States, etc. I've been here since I was 8 years old. And what's funny is some people might be like, oh my God, he's a constitutionalist. See, this is the Russian agenda. Yeah, supporting the founding document of the United States is somehow, no, literally, like, people think that some of these quote-unquote right-wing opinions are Russian propaganda. It's like, what? Apple pie is now Russian propaganda. Mom and her apple pie in baseball. It's Russian stuff, Damn Ruski, damn commies. This is not a good vlog because I'm just so fucking done with how stupid geopolitics is and how wacky the coverage of it is. This is impossibly stupid. I guess I'll just move on to another subject because fuck it. Just wow. All right. Since we're on the subject of things that are silly, a lot of this stuff on YouTube, a lot of these commentators, and these are a lot of the people I'm kind of talking about this sphere, are people who I enjoy listening to, but damn it all if there isn't this weird, almost youth pastor vibe to it, because I understand that there is a contingent of people out there that constantly complain about things and that are activistic, etc. But the response to this should not be so much hot air and, really tried truths. It's okay to remind people of the need for bootstrapping at times in a reasonable way. etc. But my God, I see things about millennials and etc. Okay, so this millennial thing, I just don't understand, because a lot of these people are like really close to millennial line, Gen X people or millennials themselves, and they're making all these generational criticisms. And maybe this started with the boomers, or maybe this started with millennials themselves. Hell, but damn it all, if it's not stupid. Really trite facts presented as if people haven't heard them. But like, take personal responsibility, don't blame others for your problems, find something to stand up for and believe in, and try to ascertain what reality is using rationality and blah, blah, blah. That's not uncommon knowledge. It's really, really not. And sure, I can understand it if you're dealing with activist types all the time, and if there are really silly trends in the culture and you're addressing them, the problem can seem magnified, but it's really not that big of a deal. And the sheer amount of airtime that's taken up telling people to grow up is in itself really immature. Yeah, I've done a video about this before called Cheesy SXYZ, where I talk about this top boy phenomenon, where when you were a kid and you got some kind of pat on the head or some kind of advancement in your little child kingdom position, you lorded over the other kids and thought you were more grown up than them. And this is the exact same thing, except with adults, so it's really, really, really goofy. And there'll be more cogent, less shitty vlogging about this in the future. Because right now I'm just tired, but I felt the need to put something out there because I don't know how often I'm going to get to in this coming month. It's going to be pretty hectic at work, and also the holiday season with family and friends. But I will try to, still do. So thanks so much for listening. If you got this far, subscribe to the channel, give me a like, whatever helps out. And take care, y'all.